Alkanes are the simplest organic molecules. That doesn't mean they're not important. In fact, they're very important to us. But the structures are simple. Take a look. By definition, alkanes are structures that have only carbon and hydrogen atoms. No oxygen, no nitrogen, no halogens. Those are common atoms in organic molecules, but not in alkanes. Only carbon and hydrogen. And only single bonds. No double bonds, no triple bonds, nothing interesting. So when we draw those structures, you see how simple they are to draw. The smallest one is methane, has 1 carbon, 4 hydrogens. We draw out all the atoms like this, but we often write it as CH4. The next biggest one has 2 carbon atoms and 6 hydrogens. When we draw out the atoms, it looks like this, but we often write it as CH3, CH3. When we get to bigger structures in this, we switch to the line bond formulation just to make it easier and faster. Here's an example of a 5-carbon alkane. And just to remind you about these bond line structures, there's a carbon at each end. There's a carbon at every break. So there are 5 carbon atoms in this molecule. They don't have to be linear. We can have branch structures as well. Here's an example. And when we draw in the carbon atoms, it looks like this. And all of these structures are structures that don't have rings, but rings are certainly possible. Here's a simple case. This 5-carbon compound has a 5-membered ring. And the brown dots show you where the carbon atoms are. So alkanes are simple compounds in structure, only carbon and hydrogen, only single bonds. They may have a single chain, they may have branch chains, and they can have ring structures.